Today there's a report from the Israeli ambassador to the UK, Tzipi Hotovely, and the ambassador says every Israeli is traumatized by the Hamas massacre in innocent people. As days go by, the atrocities are exposed. We heard that 80% of the bodies were tortured, young women being raped, young babies being beheaded. Those kind of atrocities, barbarism, pure evil, the world hasn't seen since World War II. Hamas won't exist in the Gaza Strip. Israel cannot afford a terror organization in its borders. Now, the ambassador's words, she says, she references the issue of the young babies. And this seems to have been exposed as a fake news, or at least a misreporting, an exaggeration. Certainly, there are babies that were killed, and photographs have been shown of their mutilated bodies. Were they beheaded? Probably not. Were there 40 of them? Almost certainly not. And what we've got here, I don't think it's as clear as to say the beheaded babies was a lie, or whether it's absolutely right to use the term fake news. I did. I think I was wrong. I think we're talking about a nuance, and to dismiss this story as fake news is to go some way towards excusing the behaviour of the Hamas terrorists. And I think one's got to, even with such atrocities, one's got to allow for nuance, and one's got to allow for debate, and one's got to allow for freedom. The freedom to have opinions, the freedom to share views, the freedom to dissect information. I think when you're talking about analysing pictures to see whether or not terrorists have beheaded children or terrorists have abused children, then you really are scraping the bottom of the barrel, because any sort of attack on children is heinous, and it confirms the fact that Hamas is an organisation that does not deserve to exist. However, of course, the Palestinians should not suffer for the leadership that they have got. Neither should Britain suffer for the leadership that it's got, nor should France suffer. So the idea that France tells people that they cannot demonstrate in support of the Palestinians, the idea that Britain is saying that if you, well, or at least Suella Braverman is saying that if you are suspected of supporting a terrorist organisation, then the police will come for you. This is This is not an attack on truth. This is an attack on freedom. The idea that we should be careful about the language that we use, that I think is important. But discussions are not. So, for example, in the language that we're using today, we've got a series of words which are sort of pressure points, and they're not entirely correct. To describe the Israel treatment of the Palestinians as an apartheid state is not true. It's simply not true. The Israelis have withdrawn from Gaza to start with, so that isn't an apartheid state. Is it a concentration camp? Well, in one sense, there is a concentrated group, but it's not a concentration camp in the sense of the late 1930s, 1940s. It's not an extermination camp. In fact, the population of Gaza has grown in the last 16 years, doubled almost. It's not a concentration camp. I think there is some room for talking about an apartheid approach in the West Bank, where the settlers are given better treatment than the indigenous Palestinians, and soldiers passing a settler, or seeing a fight between a settler and a Palestinian, will automatically favour the settler. That is wrong, and that has some of the elements of an apartheid, but it's not. I don't think this is routine and spread across the whole territory, nor do I think that it accurately describes the situation in Gaza. And as for the word genocide, again, that's another word which is bandied around and deeply misused. Did Hamas attempt a genocide on Israel by leaping over the border and attacking innocent civilians? No. It perpetrated a terrorist atrocity, not a genocide. Was it attacking only Israelis, only Jews? Well, yes, there were only Jews, there were only Israelis there. It was not a genocide. And nor, for that matter, is even the siege of Gaza a genocide. I don't think Israelis have any intention of eradicating the Palestinians. And the idea that the Palestinians should all be deported to Egypt or up to Lebanon, again, I don't think that's realistic. And I concede that there are right-wing hawks in control of the present Israeli government. They, like Hamas, should be gone. They are a danger to not only to Israel, they're a danger to global peace. And I think they don't always think of what they're saying, of the implications of what they're saying. Are there comparisons to be made between Gaza and Guantanamo? A place of shame that is etched into the United States psyche. Absolutely. Anywhere where we've got visa restrictions, where we're controlling population movements, where we are attributing the collective punishment of an entire group to the actions of one particular day, whether that's 9/11 or whether it's last Saturday, is abhorrent. But we need, first of all, to have these discussions. We need to have the freedom to have those discussions. It's not truth which is destroyed by war, it's freedom.